Oh yes, I remembered I told you a lie about this before, not intentionally, so I'll put that right in a minute. Dig asked an interesting question in the bar, because my friend Des is in, Des Sellers, from Natural Choice Healing Clinic in Stoke-on-Trent.
Mentalists.com.
Yes, oddly enough, which I found out he bought the domain name. I fucking emailed him. I said, it's a good job you're a mate, because otherwise I could actually I couldn't know, legally take it off him, but I'm nice like that. Not in a gay way, you understand, but it's, so it's dead easy to find. Complete Mind Therapy, you type it in, his fucking site comes up top of the list. It's great, isn't it? Mine's second. Yeah, good man. That's the marketing course for those of you who didn't attend. But seriously, if you have a look on there, the question I got asked was, well, how can you, like, not end up at each other's throats, rowing, when I give it all this testicles, spectacles, wallet and watch, and Des is an approved trainer for various meridian therapies, including emotional freedom technique and one called freeway. And the answer is that because, well, where EFT's concerned, if you got too much into that, I probably would end up at his throat. Right, fuck off, don't try convincing me of that crap. But where freeway is concerned, the tapping element, or the testicles, spectacles, wallet and watch, as I'll call it, is 10% of what they show you over the 2 days. And at the end of the day it works, as we've shown, but the thing is, they're allegedly tapping genuine meridian points. We won't get into that argument. But the other 90% of it is stuff to do with diet, nutrition, breathing, you know, like yogic breathing stuff, meditation, breathing exercises, sound therapy. It's stuff that gets labelled as ancient wisdom. Some call it kooky new age stuff. But there are elements of it that you can't deny at the end of the day, that if you breathe in the correct manner and get enough oxygen, you do feel better than being starved of it. So there's a lot of basis to it, and that's why we do get on, because that side of it I don't take the piss out of, because it's very far removed from what we've been doing here. I forget who asked me that question before. It was you, wasn't it? You were saying, how could we get you? Yeah, you asked me. And the other reason I mentioned that is in June?
24th, 25th of June.
24th, 25th of June. If you go on CompleteMindTherapy.com, you'll see that Des is running, well, it's not that he's running, he's setting it up. It's actually going to be, well, you are running it as well, aren't you?
I'm running it.
Yeah. In Altrincham, he's doing a course on this. Now, if you go on CompleteMindTherapy.com, just take a look. What I'm saying is, put aside the 10% that's testicles, spectacles, wallet and watch, and just concentrate on looking at the other 90%, and I think you'll find it very interesting. And then if you email Des, I'm sure that because you've been here this weekend, if you were interested, Des would sort you out a good discount, wouldn't you?
£150 discount off that on the advance.
There you go. Which, now they're thinking, now that's because it's like £5 the cost. I mean, no, it's not. No. It's mega affordable, but have a look at that. Anyway, moving on. I told you a lie about this before, and I didn't mean to. I didn't do it intentionally. I forgot to mention that, yes, this is exactly how I do it, and I said, oh, that constitutes a Master Practitioner course in NLP, which essentially it does. And I implied that knowing all that and what we did yesterday would be equal to 9 days. Forgot one thing. Next door there, 9 days, it gets worse. It's not just 9 days on NLP, it's specifically about using it for sports psychology. And you supposedly should have prior NLP experience before you do the 9 days on sports psychology. So I did tell you a little white lie, because we haven't covered how to use this for sports psychology. All we've done is shown you how to use it for habits, fears, phobias, emotional problems. I mean, basically everything from A through to Z. But I never mentioned sports psychology, so I apologise profusely for lying. If you can all book some more hotel rooms, and we can stay here for the next 7 days, to take the missing link out regarding... No, fuck it, I tell you what, why don't I tell you the sports psychology bit in the next 10 minutes? Essentially, sports psychology, exact same running order, which is mentioned in black and white in the book. And I say the book as opposed to my book because, without being big-headed, it's the best book ever fucking written on the subject. And I defy anyone to find one with more information in it for just $19.99. And we have only got a few of them left, otherwise you've got to order off Amazon, and they've got a 2-week waiting list at the minute for them. We've got a few of them for the people who are asking later. But in there, in black and white, it's in there, this complete running order, but also an example word-for-word script that I talked about before. The only difference for sports psychology is nothing at the beginning, no difference there. It's that when we get to the TV set, we're going to get them to visualise whatever their game is, golf, tennis, whatever. Visualise themselves at the matches or games that they are quite embarrassed about, the things that pissed them off, the things they know deep down they did wrong. And we'll get them to remove the negatives there and fade that away. With the mirror, we'll obviously get them to visualise themselves. Now this is where common sense comes in. If this is an established sports professional or established, someone who's been doing it a while, and they can remember having been really good at this sport, and it's just that for some reason, it happens a lot in golf, you know, I just seem to have lost that swing, you know? If they can remember having done it to the level they want to, and it's just a case of getting it back to that, and hopefully beyond, but at the very least back to what they were before, then obviously you get them to visualise themselves in the mirror as they were, taking that perfect swing or perfect serve or lining up the goal or whatever the bloody sport is. That obviously comes down to common sense. And then you get them to take on those feelings. That I know sounds damned obvious, but if they're not, it might be that they're a relatively newcomer to the particular sport, in which case they haven't got anything personally as a reference point of achieving that particular level. So then you would do what is known as modelling in NLP, or as I call it, copying. The theory being, if you do the same things in the same way, with the same intentions, same thoughts, emotions, belief patterns and behaviours as somebody else who's used and done it that way and got successful results, then you will get the same successful result. That is fucking bullshit. Absolute crock of shit. If that was the case, everyone that went on an NLP course would put to use the modelling and model somebody like myself or Paul McKenna who's making shitloads of money, and they'd never go on another course again and they'd all be making shitloads of money. But they're not. And that's the prime example of the fact that it is a crock of shit. However, there's a tiny weeny little element of it that's useful, which is, yes, get them to think of somebody they respect, admire, that they've got positive feelings for, who plays that particular sport to a level they want to be at. And yeah, get them to observe what that person does differently to them. Although let's face it, at the end of the day it's only going to be a case of what they think that person does differently than them. Albeit they tell you different over 7 days. They'd say, well, what would happen is you'd end up walking around outside with somebody next to you and having to try and start walking at the same speed as them and mimicking all their bodily actions, and when they change their action you'd have to try and keep up with it, so-called sensory acuity, modelling and matching. And that's what those people walking past the window yesterday were doing, if anyone wondered. It's not a joke, that is actually what they were doing. Fuck off. Bollocks. No. 9 days. Instead, just get them to respect, look, pick somebody they respect, admire, who they, in their terms, is good at that sport. Get them to decide for themselves in a way that is right for them what it is about that person that they do differently. Now don't get me wrong, they might say, I haven't a clue. If I knew that, then I wouldn't have the... Say, that doesn't matter. You don't need to know at a conscious level. You just need to imagine it. So you're using visualisation. The other thing that we add in more, we make an addition for sports therapy, and that is mental rehearsal. So after getting rid of the past negative limiting beliefs and installing the positive future, yeah, I can, it's almost as if I am playing in the body of Tiger Woods, the golfer, I'm almost stood there like him and I see off it, perfect, which is also future pacing. We get them to do mental rehearsal, which is visualisation of, you know, if you was running a race, being at the track, looking at the competitors at the side, kicking off is what? Taking off. When the race starts, anyway, you know what I mean? And then run away, that bit. Doing it perfectly, getting faster, controlling the breath right, the body posture being the way they've been taught by their coaches, being able to retain and instantly remember all that information that their coaches will have been telling them anyway, and then winning the race. And then you get them to do it again and again on different racetracks in the mind, but winning that race. Perhaps once or twice you'll get them to come third on purpose, just so you can bring their emotions up and down. But you can be proud of the fact that you came third this time because you put 100% effort in, and it's just that this time there were some people there better than you. Because sometimes, you know, it happens sooner or later in any sport, somebody comes along, so don't set them up for, yeah, because otherwise I'm going to think, you know? And mental rehearsal, repetition. And yes, with sports psychology, you would see them more than once. You would probably be seeing them at least once a week, or at least before a big match or a big game a few times, to really help them relax. The therapeutic value being relaxation, offloading stress, positive thinking, and mental rehearsal, which is tantamount to brainwashing. But good, because they want to be brainwashed to believe they're a winner. And in any autobiography you read of any successful person, sports person, business person, whatever, the one key message you'll generally always get is, if you believe you can, you can. You might not always know how you got to that point along the way, but all you can trace it back to is you had this inner burning desire and belief that you could do it. And it's about going for it. Positive mental attitude. But it is an increasingly lucrative market, sports psychology, so I apologise for lying before. That has to be added in a little bit, and then it would be, well, then that it would be. Thank you for being here for 9 days. Pain control, that's the one other potential area where there is a difference. Everything else, the fucking same. It's just that at the end of the session, afterwards, instead of doing testicles, spectacles, wallet and watch, we'd do what we are about to do. I see a little panicky now. That's wonderful. Alright, go on. Go for it, fella. You're volunteered yourself there, so down you come. Give him a round of applause. He does deserve it. Alright, bud. Yeah. Tremendous. Thank you very much for volunteering without me having to coerce today.
Everyone else was worried.
They were worried, they were worried, they were worried. Oh, that's handy. You have got some hairs on your arm. That is superb. Not many, but enough for this. What's your name, bud? Well, what would you prefer to be called? What do your friends call it? Carl. Yeah. Well, that's another trick when you're doing your session. Don't just ask the name, ask them what they like to be called by their friends. Because you're supposed to be helping them, right? Okay. And if it's on a kind of, if you're calling them by a name that the bank manager had called them, which might be different than what the friends had called them, well, that's going to register differently in their mind than using, you know, they might go, oh, my name's Johnny, really, but I prefer to be called JC, or, in which case, you know. So, sorry, taking from that point again. This wouldn't obviously normally be occurring. So yeah, nice to meet you. What's your name?
Carl.
Is that what your friends call you?
Yeah.
Is it okay if I call you Carl?
Yeah.
Brilliant. We're just going to try a quick experiment. It's nothing too bizarre, but if I may, I'm just going to grab hold of some hairs on your arm. Please don't hit me when I pull them, because it might be slightly painful, depending on your pain tolerance. Right. Can you definitely feel that, as it were? Yeah. Cool. I mean, with that, on a pain threshold of 0 to 10, 10 being not very fucking horrible, and 0 being no problem, how high up would you go there?
About 3.
About 3. Hard bastard. Oh, I mean in a loving, caring, sharing way. No problem, but you'd be able to tell the difference, wouldn't you? If you What I'd like you to do, Carl, imagine you're eating, or I've got a horrible, juicy, bitter, sour, lemon. Sucking on it. Get that saliva in your mouth. And although it sounds rude, show it me on your tongue like this. Get loads, get some more on, get on. Alright? Well, this is going to sound daft, but I'd like you to say to yourself, with the saliva on your tongue, keep your mouth wet, say, my left arm in the area of those hairs is now completely anaesthetised. And actually say it 3 times. I know it sounds stupid and it sounds a bit rude, but I'll do it with you. My left arm is now completely anaesthetised. You don't normally have an audience for this. Now left. Alright, brilliant. As long as you're saying it to yourself, that's brilliant. Because the same area, on a scale of 0 to 10, it was 3 before. I'm trying to pull them as hard as I can. How much lower would you say we are now?
0.
Well, it's not changed at all?
No, it's back down to nothing.
Oh, right, okay.
It was 3 before,
Right,
and
sorry, miscommunication there. I thought, oh, well, no change, good. Brilliant. That is superb. What I'd like to do, this would, yeah. I'm just going to move this slightly to the side so you can make use of this in a moment. I'm not going to get you to lie down on it. Don't worry. We're not doing a hernia operation, not today. Carl, you've got a rough idea what we're going to do here, which normally, in fairness, your clients wouldn't. And as we said yesterday, remember, when your clients don't know what's going to take place, it is always that far more effective. So please do, bear that in mind. Okay, bearing in mind you do know what's going to happen. You've already probably started to mentally prepare yourself anyway, so that's cool. Take a nice deep breath in. And this time I'd just like you to get that saliva on your tongue, and to yourself, if you prefer to do it that way. When it's on a one-to-one, it's better if you get them to say it audibly. Just obviously with an audience, that's a bit bizarre. I'd like you to say to yourself, my right hand, the back of my right hand is now completely anaesthetised. The back of my right hand is now completely anaesthetised. The back of my right hand is now completely anaesthetised. And at this point, I'd just like you to stare directly at that hand. Stare directly at that hand. Imagine it, it's almost as though that hand's gone cold. It's gone cold like a lump of meat. It's gone cold, you feel no discomfort. If you keep that saliva on your tongue, a pinch there, does that hurt? No, you feel no discomfort whatsoever. In fact, it just gets kind of cold, clammy and heavy. That's brilliant, just like a lump of meat. That's absolutely super, you feel. And you can try this yourself. It does tend to hurt when you really twist around. No discomfort whatsoever. That's brilliant. What I'd like you to do is just take a nice deep breath in, Carl. Keep staring at your hand, which is just like a lump of dead meat. It's almost as though it's not connected to you in any way. And that's why it doesn't bother you, worry you, or concern you in any way, shape or form, because that hand is just there. It's just like watching it on a television screen. Keep that saliva in your mouth, that's brilliant, wonderful. That hand, you feel nothing more than that as we just pinch, and you feel no discomfort whatsoever. As you keep that saliva on your tongue, you may choose to watch that piece of meat. It's just like being in the kitchen. Just like being in the kitchen, you feel no discomfort whatsoever. Just like being in the kitchen. That hand feeling so heavy, wonderful and cold. Heavy and cold, you feel no discomfort whatsoever. I'd like you to take a nice deep breath in as you just stare at that hand. And as you take that nice deep breath in, just take that as a sign and a signal that you are in control of your mind and your body. We're now going to do something rather strange, Carl. In a few moments I'm going to ask you to swallow the saliva, but when you do, keep looking at that hand. And I'm not going to touch the area here because you won't feel anything now anyway, but I'm just going to touch the back of your hand because sensibilities are going to come back to your hand and you'll feel no discomfort. You'll be able to feel me touching you again. Fine and normal. So if you just swallowed the saliva now, it's wonderful, and then feel that okay? Yeah. In fact, if you close your eyes just to prove that you can feel again, which finger am I touching? Little finger. Cool. Cool. Alright, you can open your eyes, that's brilliant. This is the interesting bit. Just get the saliva back again. That hand there, okay? It's like it gets a coldness, a numbness, a blueness around here. It starts to get cold again. And what's sometimes interesting, perhaps if you bring your left hand, I'm just going to take hold of that. You feel no discomfort, but just take hold of this, at this end. I know it's a weird position to be in. And just take it out of that meat. Just take it out of that meat. And you notice that, one little tiny spot there, they can have that on their table. It doesn't bother you, worry you, or concern you in any way, shape or form. Grab a little tiny tissue, just keep looking at that hand. Only a tiniest little reminder, just like having got it from the butcher's. In a few moments' time, I'll count from 3 to 1 on the count of 1, but for now, if you just close your eyes, that will be wonderful. I'll count to 1. On the count of 1, you'll open your eyes. We will give you a little napkin to just dry your hand with. And you feel absolutely no discomfort whatsoever. In fact, that serves as a sign and a signal to you that from this moment forward, whenever you need to, it's almost as though you can just climb inside your mind, and by using saliva on your tongue and instructing the area of your body that you want to have do, or just for the sake of it, Steve, because we've got no napkins, just get us a small tiny plaster. We don't need one, we need a napkin really, just something to press for a second. Wonderful. And you'll be able to take that away with you, and at any time in the future you'll just be able to go into your mind. Thanks, that's wonderful. You'll be able to go into your mind and turn it off almost as low. It's like a switch in your mind. That's wonderful. Normal sensibility, just coming back to that hand because, cool. Brilliant. I'll just give you that anyway because you might want to in a minute. So 1, lighter and brighter. 2, normal sensibilities returning, but you feel no discomfort whatsoever. You can control any feelings, tingling, sensation whatsoever. Just as simply as that, by imagining turning off a switch in your mind. And you can do that whenever you want to, in any area of your body that you want to, as quickly as that. So if you just like to open your eyes. Okay, wonderful. You might just want to press that on there a second for the obligatory so it stops. Yeah, alright, but otherwise you'll just get your tiny little plaster.
It's alright.
Can you pull down? You feel fine? Yeah. Cool. Well, in that case, Carl, and I'll shake you by this, hand, bugger it. Carl, you're a star. Give him a round of applause for being The brave one. Thank you, sir. Cheers, fella. Cheers, you need that. Nice one, bud. I'll just put that back in there. Fucking hell, I'm shit scared of needles, mate. You think I'm joking? I'm fucking not.
Come and see me.
Thank you for... Thank you, Carl. I was obviously shitting myself there more than you were, as I normally do whenever I do that. The irony of it is 9 times out of 10, when the needle comes out, you don't get any blood, or if you do, it's just the tiniest weeny little spot. I was just being adventurous for the camera today, because what I did was I got Carl to take the needle out himself. You should do, you know, when I lifted the skin at the back of the hand before, you should pinch it together tight, like you did when I was putting the needle through, because if you pull it up and pinch it tight, then you get it back to being just a bit of skin you put it through where there isn't any blood anyway, and it comes out. But you've then got to be the one who takes it out. It is more impressive psychologically to let the client take it out, but then you have got that 10% chance of a tiny bit of blood. But because of where you're doing it, and the fact you're going to use common sense, I mean, on my hand, you'll see there's a big vein there. I wouldn't be doing it there. You're looking for an area where it's, you know, just skin. Bit of common sense involved with this one. Speaking of common sense, sealed, surgical, sterilised, hygienic, never used before, never to be used again. Open it at the time in front of the client so that they can see it's been ripped open, took out. That in itself is a non-verbal suggestion that it's safe, clean, hygienic. That is massively important, especially in this day and age. Disposal of same-set needles after, well, your local drug centres, if you don't mind, I'll give a scrot off the street a tenner to go in and dump them all off once a month for you at the local drug centre if you don't want them thinking you're pinning yourself. But you know, it's Paul McKenna keeps them in the proper little plastic bin after he's used them and then gets rid of them properly. Good enough for him, it's good enough for us. It's not harmed his reputation, so it's fine. Right, how's it work? Well, today, here and now, a large element of it's down to the fact that Carl had already mentally prepared himself to some extent there, just by walking down here, I'm sure you had. By the look in your face, you'd already mentally prepared yourself. But in the same way, when a client comes for pain control, they've kind of mentally prepared themselves, but it won't have been to such a level as Carl had, because obviously he's got insider knowledge, experience and expertise. But that expectancy of coming along for help with their problem in itself is building them up mentally towards a similar state, but not perhaps quite as powerful. That's why we start with the hairs. Now, how does this work? Well, I know the theory, and there is medical evidence to show that this is kind of logically sound. The fight and flight response, oh, incidentally, I must say this thing that we've just done there, it's called Noisy Therapy. N-O-E-I-S therapy, Noisy Therapy. It was devised by a gentleman called Dr. Angel Escudero, a surgeon in Valencia in Spain. And he actually has an internet website. If you type in Dr. Angel Escudero or Noisy Therapy, look for the one with the Spanish domain name at the end, and you can download his entire 300-odd page book, step-by-step guide to doing this, but then he goes on into the rounds of how to do it for surgical operations, because that's what he's doing every day. Free of charge. Sorry, what it says is download it for free, but I'd request that you make a €5 donation to the charity of your choice. So it depends on your morals and ethics as to whether it costs you €5 or it's free of charge. But what he explains is that it's the fight and flight response, which in caveman days, all we had to do, and it was very sexist then in caveman days, I'm talking about then and not now, girls, okay? Please don't attack me at lunchtime. In caveman days, man would get up in the morning, probably go, no dinosaur left. So he'd go out hunting all day, fight with a few dinosaurs, run like fuck if one of them was bigger than him. That would be the flight response kicking in to get away. But the moment he got away far enough, he knew the dinosaur wouldn't catch him. That would be the proper flight response of the sense of relief, the relaxation. The fight response, when it's a dinosaur that he knew full well he could take, ready, but still a bit shit scared, because they're a bit, you know, temperamental, these dinosaurs. Bit, you know, might be one hiding up a tree, jump on you, don't know, can be quite scary. So he goes in for the fight in his arm, and his body tenses up, his mouth goes dry, the muscles get tight, so that he gets essentially extra strength because of the physiology. Try saying that if you're me just then. There. The physiology of his body, okay? Gives him that extra strength and that paranoia that there is another dinosaur. And then eventually he gets away, relief, dragging the dinosaur home, and that is the flight there. Good day, we can eat tonight, or more in his language, or something like that. That's the fight-or-flight response, okay? Now, the key thing is there, that when it went into the fight, the negative, the scary, the potentially painful area, the fight response, muscles go tense, your mouth goes dry. That's the key. Mouth goes dry. In the flight response, after the stress is over, and it's all that relief, it's nothing scary anymore, it's okay, thank God for that. It wasn't as bad as I thought. The saliva comes back to your mouth. Your muscles are relaxed. So this is many hundreds of, I don't know my history that well, but however old dinosaurs are, it's more than a few months old anyway, you know, it's probably a few thousand years old. Conditioned response in us as human beings. Not only is it a conditioned response, it's a genetic, internal genetic, we're born with this, happens to us, response. Now we live in a different day and age now, so it's very rare we're going to see a dinosaur, except perhaps in the Jurassic Park theme ride or something like that. So that's where stress has come in the modern day, because we've, you know, that's still within us, but, and it can manifest itself by way of pain, stress, anger, whatever. Anything in life is about balance. If something's causing too much pain, you've got to focus on upping the pleasure, like we talked about yesterday, to balance it out, or vice versa. So, element one is the saliva. Get somebody who's got arthritic pain or whatever, or, well, whatever pain, really, pain. And you can use the lemon idea as a visualisation to get the, and if they find that hard, then give them a fucking genuine lemon to suck on. Whatever it takes to get that saliva going in the mouth, get it. Because now in NLP terms, I suppose, they would say that you're going to anchor them psychologically to the idea that having saliva in their mouth and saying these positive affirmations can eliminate the pain, or rather does eliminate the pain, because you're going to prove it to them. So, saliva is one element. The other element is obviously the psychological factor. When it gets to needle point, they can tell it's clean, sterile, new, fresh, which in itself removes a lot of objections before they're potentially there. The hairs, step one's the hairs on the arm. Now, I'm sorry, but if you get your arm and you get hold of, with your other, you can do this yourself, Lisa, hold of some hairs on your arm and pull them as much as you can. Some of you, they might come out, but so it kind of hurts as much as it can do. I mean, for Cal, that was only a 3. He's an out bastard. But for some of you, it might be a 7 or 8. And for somebody who perhaps had arthritic pain in their arm anyway, it might be a fucking 12 or 13. Especially because you've put an embedded command or suggestion in, haven't you? Of, don't worry, this probably will be a bit painful. Implying that they will feel some pain. So the expectation of, I don't like pain. Oh no, pain's going to come. They wrap their mind around it, so it's probably going to feel worse, generally speaking, than it would do anyway. So you pull, you see what it feels like. Ideally, if you manage to rip some hairs out of their arm, for reasons I'll come back to in a minute. But anyway, you've done it. You keep an eye roughly on where the spot is. You say, get the saliva in your mouth. As Cal did, you can do it internally. Yes, you can. And there are times that you will tell your clients to do it internally, so that if, for example, they were on a bus and their knee started playing up again and they needed that, turn the pain down, they'd probably look a bit weird on the bus going, no, knee, there's no pain in that knee. So, yeah, sometimes it is more appropriate, common sense comes in, to say it in your head. But ideally on a one-to-one, we want them to say it out loud, because of the fact it is a bit daft, and generally makes the person feel a bit embarrassed, silly, or makes them laugh. A combination of all three, generally, which, on a one-to-one where nobody's watching, you go, don't worry, I'll do it with you. And that in itself kind of distracts the mind off the idea of pain, point one. Point two, laughter, finding something funny internally itself is relaxing. Well, relaxing is the flight response, which is the relief, the positivity, the saliva. So it's all around the same thing. And because of this embedded command that, you know, in a minute, with the affirmation in a few moments' time, you know, I want you to say, my left arm is now completely anaesthetised. 3 times. Theory of 3 we covered earlier. Don't know whether it's true or not. Don't care, but 3's a nice number. And if there is any relevance to the theory that the first time it just wakes up the mind, the second time it says, what the fuck do you want, and the third time it takes notice, then if there is any truth in it, at least we've done it. And it's interesting to note that Dr. Angel Escudero, who developed this, does it 3 times. That's not something I've not added anything to this. I mean, what I'm telling you about no easy therapy is only the tip of the iceberg. I do recommend that you get Dr. Angel Escudero's book, especially if you were thinking of sawing somebody's leg off or something. Because the man's got experience with sawing people's legs off. I've only got experience, like, you know, in a dentist, helping people that I've gone with as friends, or people who've got long-term pain problems and they don't want to take too many drugs, or the drugs aren't working anymore. That's the limit of my experience with this one, so you're going to go beyond that. Please look into it further. I have to say that for legal reasons as well. Roger, I mean, it's great, I can go and cut somebody's leg off. No, you can't. Right. So the second time, by this point, there's been a few seconds time delay, haven't there? You go back and you get hairs in roughly the same area, and you pull them, but the irony of it is you don't pull them anywhere near as hard as you did the first time anywhere. Point one. Oops. Sorry, little trick. But you don't pull them anywhere near as much as you did the first time. But they will assume you have, because why wouldn't you? So it's guaranteed to feel different. It's not saying that they're going to have the mind around it as much as Kel did. They might go, well, now it's gone down from a 6 to a 5. You might have to, as they say in radiant therapies, do it again. Or use a different phrase, you know, instead of my left arm's now completely anaesthetised, you might have to get them to say, the area where the hairs are is now completely pain-free. Persist, the numbers will come down a bit. This is just the leading, this is pulling them down the garden path, and I'm sure if you look at the building blocks that we looked at yesterday, you see how this is really no different. It's just more relevant to pain control. If you manage to rip some hairs out of their arm the first time, make sure you've not dropped them. You use a technical magician's term called palming. In other words, you hide your hand behind your back so that they forget about them while you're doing the talking. So the second time when you go, they've gone. right? By 3. And you go straight for the point and you go, blimey, did you feel that? If they did, it's fucking scary. Because you haven't done now, you just suddenly, did you feel that? And you've got a pinch of their hair showing them in the face. That's a very strong convincer. They think, I felt before when he was tugging, but I didn't feel that then. He just ripped hairs out of my arm. No, that was the first time round. I'm not certain Mr. Escudero, Doctor, actually suggests that in his book. But I find it works rather well as a convincer psychologically, because I think, well, it has. If you didn't manage to grab any hairs, then you're not going to pull as hard anyway, and yeah, you might need to, but you get that to a point where it's a 0, however long it takes. And if it's taking too long, then I do a complete mind therapy session on them, and but during this process, embed commands that at the end of it, whenever we did the no easy therapy, or the saliva pain control method, so you can't get sued for copyright, that it will be 100 times more effective. And then you do it again, and by this point, you've really fucking done the convincers, the mind fucks. Once you've got them down to a 0 with the hairs, the next step is to move on to the hand. Well, it doesn't have to be the hand, it can be the arm, it can, within reason, it can be anywhere on the body. Limited by a couple of things. Firstly, how intimate that area is and the appropriateness. That comes down to common sense again. Avoiding veins, for obvious reasons. And ideally places where it's quite a fleshy area. You see, like the back of the hand, it's quite fleshy. Generally, on most people, kind of around there's a fleshy bit, somewhere that you can get hold of some skin and pinch it up. So there's enough room to put the needle through. Because without enough room to push the needle through, this next bit doesn't work. Or rather, I should say it does work if your name's Dr. Angel Escudero, who just gets the fucking needle. And it looks like he rams it straight through the hand, and he doesn't pinch the skin up. And they feel no discomfort. They're like, oh yeah, right. If you've got the bottle to do it that way, fine. Personally, as I said yesterday, I like things to work more times than they don't. So, we used the same trick that Darren Brown did on his mind control program on Channel 4. A trick that's been known by circus yogis for years, and that is that a fleshy area of the body, as long as you avoid veins, if you pinch it hard, yes, it might hurt, but you can bear it because you knew it was coming. You expected it. But that's as bad as it gets. Because if you put a needle through now, well, if you put a needle through now, I'll fucking faint. But, no, if you put a needle through now, as long as I didn't faint, all I would feel is where I am pinching. Because you keep that pressure on really hard. So the mind's distracted on that pressure, but after a while it becomes pressure, not pain. It becomes discomfort, not pain. We've altered the wording. We've done reframing in so-called NLP. So you get a fleshy area in which the back of the hand's ideal. Circus yogis quite often do up top bit of their arm. Now I know there's a difference here. You might have seen people on television take skewers and go like that through their arm. We're not talking about that. There's some fucking nutters abroad. Right? But more so, in this country, there's people who apparently do that, but it's a magic trick, which can be purchased on the internet. If you go to a company called magicweek.co.uk and then click on the magic shop suppliers, they sell a thing called the needle through arm illusion. It looks like a proper fucking thick app pin, old-fashioned style. And using this, you're supposed to use it on yourself. You can apparently stab it right through, and I mean through the side of your arm. And it looks bloody impressive, and there's blood fucking pumping out everywhere if you want it to. Which is under your control, because it can stop when you want it to. Now, I haven't actually done this, but if you got that, The secret of it, I'm obviously not at liberty to divulge because I didn't invent it. However, I can tell you this much. If you bought the necessary prop for about £35 from the magic store and used just a modicum of common sense, and failing that you email me once you've got the prop and I'll ask you what the secret is to make sure that you have purchased it, then, at the very worst, I'll point you at what should have been blindingly obvious on how, with just a little bit of common sense, you can actually do it on somebody else. You could do it on your client without them ever working out that it was a magic trick. So you could therefore then appear to skewer their arm right through the side without any blood if you so desire, or you could go now turn the blood on in your arm, but you'll still feel no discomfort, and then release the blood thing so some blood comes out of where the holes appear to be in their arm, and they'll go, I'm not feeling any pain, but that's weird. Stop the blood flow, yeah, we'll wipe it away. You could do things that are not normally fucking possible. And that will be a massive, massive convincer anchored to the saliva on the tongue. But if you were going to do that, I'd suggest that step one, you do the hairs, ideally rip some hairs out. Failing that, have a little drawer full of different hairs, shouldn't it? And bits of sellotape. You know, you can reach under the table, grab a few, so when you go back the second time, you go, did you feel that? And they go, no. Well, they didn't, because you fucking have the hairs in your fingers already. Failing that, you just do it slightly less. Step two, when you get to the hand trick, is, as I say, it's the fact that it's a fleshy area. The pinch is the worst bit. That's why you saw me doing it first. And then it goes through where the pinch is. But when you let go, albeit it's only gone through a tiny bit of skin, when you let go, that skin spreads out, so it looks like it's gone through more of the hand, so it's more visually impressive. It's more visually convincing that normally that should bloody hurt. But it didn't. And when you do the pinching, it might get to the point, as with Carl, if they're in the right state of mind, that they go, no, I can't feel the pinching. Great, you know you're onto a fucking easy one here. But if they do feel the pinching, you go, all right, but you don't say pain anymore now. You go, oh, so you can feel that pressure there. But it's not a discomfort, is it? And reframe it. I think the battery's going on this. Ideally, at the end, you should pinch the skin again just below the needle, lift it up. I think that's definitely going. Lift it up and then remove the needle slowly yourself. Because when it's back up in that position, that's when you don't get the blood, because there's no chance for the blood, because it's going in a place where there wasn't really any anywhere. I just wanted to show off for the camera, so thank you, Kel, for allowing me to do that. And you can get the client to remove it. I think that's about it on that. Then when they've seen that, they're convinced the next step, if you were to get that magic trick, needle through arm, you can fucking really convince them. They're now conditioned. You then teach them that by saying the affirmation 3 times, whichever is appropriate to where their pain is, with the saliva on the tongue, that it will have the same effect. So if it's arthritis, you've now conditioned them that when they say that, it'll relieve it. And if they were going to be like painless childbirth, you condition them over weeks like you would with your therapy sessions. Better off shouting for this last bit, because that's weird, that. Battery's going on the mic and it's echoing away. And they then get conditioned over a few weeks building up, so they've been convinced by the hairs, the needle, the fucking big needle through the arm, you know, the back pain that they would normally be having during pregnancy perhaps, they've got that under control. You'd also obviously throw in a bit of CMT session if you wanted to really ramp it up, visualisation. And ultimately, in a nutshell, that is what no easy therapy is. And in a nutshell, when it's on television again, if you watch Hypnosurgery Live, which was on More 4 the other night, it's going to be on E4 shortly, if you listen very carefully through it, he was doing all this deeper and deeper thing, you know, anchoring them back to feeling good in the trance, but what he kept emphasising was get that saliva in your tongue, on your tongue, get your mouth wet. The success of that bloody operation wasn't hypnosis, it was no easy therapy, it was the fight-flight response, it was the conditioning that they didn't show you on camera with the hairs, it was the needle through the hand or the arm that they didn't show you on camera, it was the 4 or 5 sessions leading up to the operation where they took them down deep. And believe me, done right, this complete mind therapy structure will take them fucking deep, because it's got all the almond deepeners in it where apparently you can take them comatose. If you use the script that's in the book, it'll take them fucking sometimes dangerously deep. And it all comes together, and the end result was hypnosurgery alive. Also, it's the apprehension, the thought, the fear, the expectancy of feeling pain that makes pain worse. Or rather, makes pain exist at all in the context of being cut. Example, you're doing DIY. You finish, you go back to the kitchen, you put the knife down, you put the hammer down, you go to the kitchen, you're about to make a brew, and you go, flaming Nora, I've cut myself. And the moment you notice it, you go, oh, it starts stinging, and it's bleeding, it suddenly starts bleeding a bit more. It was fucking fine when you cut it. Because your mind was elsewhere, it was distracted. That visual thing sent a signal telling you that you should be in pain, because that's how you've been conditioned to believe things should be. And yes, that is a good thing in terms of finding out that you've got a problem in your body and you need to go to a medical GP to be diagnosed to find out that you've got something more serious. But in terms of somebody's been diagnosed by a medical GP and has been told, look, at the end of the day, you're going to have to live with a certain amount of pain. Then being able to reframe their mind so it's no longer pain, it's just the occasional bit of discomfort that's bearable, and if it does occur, they can use the saliva and the affirmation statements. I think it's a great way to help them change their life, because there are people living with lots of pain. It's a profitable area to go in here. And that's as difficult as it gets. Which ironically, well, we'll just see if there's any questions, because we're only about 3 minutes from lunchtime. So any questions? What interest in there? Yeah?
Can you do that without needles?
You can do it without needles, yeah. I know why you're asking. Because it'd be preferable not to have to.
Oh, yeah.
Albeit that you'd be in full control at all times, Mud. You'd be probably better off going on magicweek.co.uk. Because when they delivered the magical hat pin that looks very scary, and you saw how it works, you'd just piss yourself laughing that anyone would ever fall for it. But trust me, they do, because otherwise I wouldn't be recommending you to get one. And you'd be flying with that. But yeah, it's... The hairs, good convincer, but the needle is the one that really, job done, hammers it in visually, it gives them something to look at. And you'll notice I also threw into that, albeit that it was through the pinched skin and then lowered down, like I said before, I did throw in the language patterns. That was purely for presentation, really, for the video. But you know, it's like the hand get heavy and cold, it's like there's a blueness around there, it's getting cold. It's almost as though that hand, disassociation, as though it's not even their own hand. That hand there, like it's heavy, like a lump of meat. And just take the needle, stick the needle through that meat. You notice the language patterns came in. In fact, everything that we covered yesterday and this morning, albeit maybe from a different angle, was used in a different context to achieve a different result, which is the whole point of this weekend, and that seems a damn good point to have lunch and all reconvene in here at 2:30. Thank you very much, especially Carl. Round of applause for Carl. Come on.